Research shows that we turn into grumpy old men at the age of 52.
In this show, we're going to share everything that annoys us on a daily basis.
But how do you know when you become a grumpy old man?
You walk into a room and you forget why you're there.
Your idea of happy hour is a good nap.
Welcome to Grumpy Old Men. As ever, we start off with the embodiment of grumpy, Mike Graham. What's getting up your nose, Mike?
The police.
The police?
Yeah,
OK.
The police. I mean, not because I've been in trouble with them this week or anything like that.
Makes a change.
Not this week, anyway.
Not this week. But, you know, I'm just getting sick to death of the way they operate now. They got 7,000 of them together to go and police the Notting Hill Carnival. Also, they were allowing themselves to be twerked up against by various members of the opposite sex.
Allowing willingly?
Well, I don't think it was willingly, because it's kind of humiliating. I mean, there's women sort of writhing up against them, and not particularly attractive women, I have to say. And I'm sorry about that, but, you know, I don't think they knew what to do. They couldn't arrest them because that would cause some kind of public order offence. They couldn't, you know, just say no and take a step back. And they were being made to look absolutely and utterly foolish.
Well, I do always think when it comes to the Notting Hill Carnival, what do you have to do to get arrested there?
Yes.
Because it seems to be is just stand back,
yeah,
let it all go on.
Yeah.
What,
I mean, I think you actually literally have to be wielding a knife for them to jump on you.
I think you're wrong about it. You can stab someone, but if you stab them critically, you will get arrested.
Okay. Eventually.
They do draw the line somewhere. I think the Notting Hill Carnival is fantastic. It is the world's best place to go to see the wonder of two-tier policing. You're quite right about what the locals tend to do to the police. They twerk in their crotches, and the cops just let them do it. So the cops effectively...
They haven't got any choice.
Yeah, well, effectively, the cops allow themselves to be sexually assaulted.
Do you think in the briefing, now listen, lads, you're going to get twerked on a lot today. Right. Just stay strong.
Whatever you do, don't get aroused.
Yeah.
I don't believe that they're enjoying it. And it just can't be right. I mean, imagine if I just went up to them and started, you know, thrusting myself against them. What do you think would happen?
I'd definitely like to see that on TikTok.
I'll tell you what, I hate the British Transport Police because they tried to fit me up.
They did,
bastards. Right. Absolute fuckers. Didn't win, did you?
I thought you were going to swear this week.
Hold on a second. We've got a VT which plays to a slightly gentler tone.
Police Constable Jack Edwards is a British policeman. He is married and has 2 children, Susan, aged 6, and Robert, aged 3. Today, his 8-hour period of duty will last from 2 o'clock until 10 tonight. During this time, he will be patrolling his area. It's called a beat, maintaining law and order, helping those who require help, and giving advice to those who seek it. The British policeman does not carry a gun. A truncheon is his only weapon of defence, and because of the respect that all people have for his uniform, it is quite exceptional for it to be used.
Blimey. I mean, look how far we've come.
I know.
That hasn't aged well, has it?
You don't call it progress, really, do you?
But did you notice one very important thing about all those policemen?
Yeah.
Over 6 foot.
Yeah, they were.
In their hats.
And they had those proper helmets as well, which they don't wear anymore, do they?
Yeah, they used to have... The height limit used to be 5'8", I believe, but I've seen cops who are, like, basically dwarves.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't think they have that limit anymore.
They're mainly stab vest.
Yeah.
Some of them are mainly
also,
stab
they mainly
vest.
now wear fluorescent clothing.
Yeah.
Which
just
is
like
not
Robocop,
so that they can be seen in the dark.
Yeah.
It's so that you can identify them as police officers.
Yeah, because
why do they dress like Robocop these days? What happened to the old...
I mean, they don't act like Robocop, do they? Unless they're having a go at some rioters.
If you look at what that man was dealing with there, empty streets, his beat was basically empty.
Right.
Where was that? Chernobyl or something?
I don't know.
There's nobody living there.
Nobody was just waving to the locals, you know, all right, everything good.
Nuclear disaster zone.
I mean, I have to say, there are many aspects of the police that I do respect, because I would not want to police the Notting Hill Carnival.
No.
Not just for the twerking.
And I'm sure they don't want to either.
I've never met a copper or a former copper who's lower down the ranks who doesn't say, of course there's 2-tier policing. You know, if the Notting Hill Carnival...
Hold on a second. This is Mike's rant.
Well, I'm agreeing with him.
All right, fine.
I think we're on the same page.
Well, let's get to your first one, which is computer passwords.
Yeah, I mean, this basically revolves... I mean, I think a lot of people will agree with me, but this revolves around a recent experience of mine, which really pissed me off. So I bought this new computer, My old Apple MacBook Pro
Got
ceased to
confiscated.
work because the X wouldn't work. And when I took it in to be repaired, they said, "Oh, that'll be about 500 to 600
With the
quid."
X, did that mean you had trouble logging into certain...
Yeah. I just the X key doesn't
What
work.
do you need the X key
Certain
for?
favourite-
Well, to write X.
When?
Well, when you're writing.
Because of
How many
certain
words did you
websites
use?
he likes.
Well, I
to
write a
visit.
lot of things on my
Do you
computer.
put kisses at
Triple
the end of all
X.
your emails?
No. When you're
Triple
writing,
X
I don't know,
websites,
when
you
you're
can't
writing
visit
words
them.
like sex or exactly.
Well, I don't write exactly or sex much.
You never write sex or exactly.
Hardly ever.
Well, if you want to write it, we're not really getting to my moment, are we? Look, we
Let him have
digress.
his moment, Mike.
all
Let
I'm
him have
saying
his
is-
moment.
hang on.
fucking have
All
it.
I'm saying is if it was an A you couldn't type, that would be one thing. But X, I think you can live without.
Well, you're right about that. If you're going to lose a letter, which I have, X is the one to do it.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Did you lose it through overuse?
yeah, writing sex all the time.
Just keep writing it.
No,
Don't have it.
So anyway, so I've got this MacBook Pro, and I needed the Apple password, my basic password. Which
Your
of
Apple
course,
ID.
You know, my Apple
yeah,
ID, that's
yeah.
the one. Now, being an idiot that I am, I'd completely forgotten it.
Right.
So, you get that thing, you say, have you forgotten your password? We'll send you an email and all that. So I go, yeah, forgotten your password. It says, so I go, yeah, I forgot my password. It said, so it comes back and said, in order to change your password, you have to put in the password that you've forgotten. I mean, so I now can't ever use Apple ID.
Let's take a look at what it was like in olden times if you forgot your password.
What be the password? Mercy, friend, I have forgotten it. All right, what be thy mother's maiden name? Sorry, what? The maiden name of thy mother, what be it? Dung heap. And where wert thou born? Dung heap. Right, and the name of thy first pet? Again? Dung heap? Yeah, it's dung heap. Right, got it. It's dung heap all the way. Finally, proveth thou truly beest a man. I do what? Which squares containeth lanterns? I don't understand. Sorry, this session is timed out. No, hold on.
Exactly.
Do you know what the worst one is, though? Do you know worse than that is when you have to talk to somebody, whether it's the phone company or something like that, and you have to give them orally through the telephonic system the third letter of your password, or the third letter of your, and you're going. And you can, that's absolute hell on earth.
But what about when you join a new site and it sort of judges your password for
Right.
Yes,
weak,
Yes.
that's
medium,
Right.
strong, and then they suggest one which is so convoluted
And it's about that long.
that you would have to have done some sort of memory course to get close to remembering what it was.
And then if you have to try and re-enter it into some other device, you don't have it. So you
no,
can't do it.
re-enter your password.
By the way,
not the
I've
same.
got to just widen the sphere here. So this particular computer, I bought it about 6 weeks ago because the X on my old one didn't work.
You mentioned that.
So it cost me like $2,000. I just got back from a 2-week holiday and opened up my new shining computer. Bloody thing won't charge. It won't nothing. It's gone completely dead. Completely dead. So I got a guy, I took it down to the computer shop. Bloke went, oh, you're in big trouble here. I said, hang on a second, it's only 6 weeks old. So it's fucked. Thanks.
Okay.
Get yourself down the Genius bar at the Apple Store. You'll meet a man
Genius
whose
bar.
life is computers.
Yes.
And he's not a genius.
And then you can have another nomination for Grumpy Old Men because you'll probably hate it.
Yeah.
It'll be
Yeah,
absolutely
I think we could look at that for research for a
Genius
future
barman
show.
next week.
Yeah. Now, look, the thing that bugs me more than anything, now, this is something that perhaps you two gentlemen haven't experienced because you don't strike me as people who spend a lot of time in supermarkets.
I like a supermarket.
All right, the self-service checkout.
Yes. Yeah, I've done all that.
I mean, it just doesn't work. Beep. Please place the item in the bagging area. It is in the bagging area.
Yeah.
Please await assistance.
Oh, that's the killer.
There is
That
no one around.
That's the killer.
Now, it's a new system which I think has categorically been proven not to work.
Yes.
To the point where Walmart in the States are planning on doing it.
They're really getting rid of it.
Yeah, they're getting rid of it. There's that thing that people who work in supermarkets, it's known as the banana trick. Right? So
Yes, I was reading about this the other day.
what you do is you scan a banana
Yeah.
and then put something really expensive in the bag.
Yes.
And So theft.
But what if it's heavier than the banana?
Well, I think if you're experienced this sort of thing, so you'd go banana, jar of truffles.
Well, they don't really do
Maybe
it by
two,
weight.
but
They do it by
two
price.
bananas.
I thought they did it by
No,
weight.
the weight doesn't matter. It's
I thought
price.
they did
No,
it.
some of they're by weight.
No, they do it by weight.
You mean
Yeah, when you put it in the
Oh,
in the
Yeah, because if
it's
scan-
fruit, yeah.
when you're asked to
Yeah.
please place the item in the bagging
Yes.
area.
But the other
Like,
aspect...
for example, if you scanned a banana and put a bottle of champagne there, they wouldn't work.
Yeah, bunch of bananas though, you might be all right.
There you go.
You'd have to weigh it.
But the other aspect
Give it a
of this
go
is-
next week, and then you could meet some modern police people.
But the
bet
other
I would.
aspect of this is obvious. It must have encouraged the shoplifting scourge, mustn't it?
You know, no,
there's
absolutely
there's
has.
Nobody there.
Nobody to stop you just walking
Right.
out. I mean,
Well, no.
and then the supermarkets go, can't understand why we're getting everything nicked. It's because there's no one to stop you.
Well, the other thing as well is, if you get it wrong, which you're gonna,
Yeah.
you are then potentially up for some kind of larceny. Like, I got publicly shamed because I forgot to acknowledge that I had a bag for life.
Yes.
Of which I have about 9,000 sitting
Right.
in my
And they're not
hallway.
going to last your lifetime, are they?
Well, they will, because I keep having to get new ones every time I go. So those never get used
Right.
again.
Yeah.
But this one comes, you haven't paid for your bag. And, you know, in a Waitrose in Henley,
Yeah.
they all look at you. We've got a video of a checkout example.
Place the item in the bagging area. Place the item in the bagging area. Unexpected item in bagging area. Place the bagging area back in the bagging area. Place the bagging area back in the bagging area. Unexpected bagging area in bagging area.
That's
I
very
mean,
good.
but that is it. And it's fine. I think those kind of things are fine if you're going in and getting two things.
Yes.
Go and get two things in and out
Right.
quickly.
Fine.
But it's when you've got a sort of row of them and there are people with their weekly shop
Yes.
Yeah.
wheeling it up.
Right.
And you're there and you're waiting and you've got one item in your hand and you're just going, oh. And nobody really is that good at them.
No.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
There's also one of the ones where you can't ever get it to scan.
And it's supposed to be faster, but it's not. It's slower.
Yeah.
It is slow. Talking of slow, you don't like people who are late.
I really don't. I really don't. And Kevin's going to think this is all about him, but it's not all about him. But he is always late.
Why,
you know.
what, just as a matter of interest, why are you always late?
Well, you said earlier that people who are late are very successful, so it's something to do with
Is it
that.
something-
So it's all part of the
And the great thing about
So
him...
it's not just specifically to irritate
two
Mark.
types of people in the
Yeah.
world, the waiters and the waited for.
Yes. I mean, I was once told very early in my career, it's not worth going to a meeting that could start without you, right?
Yeah.
Which is true.
That's a good
However, sometimes when you arrange to meet people and they keep you waiting, I think it's a sign of disrespect. I think it means that the person doesn't actually give
Isn't there
a
kind
toss.
But hold on a second. Isn't there a kind of sort of window
There
of,
is.
of politeness?
Yeah,
There
you're
is.
right. Good
There
point.
is a window, and people can be held up. But I mean, and I'm not making this about Kevin, but whenever we would record a podcast together, he would always be late, and he would always say the trains were to blame.
But do you think that's to kind of get you in the right mood for the podcast?
I don't
Because
think
he knows
it's that
it gets
evil.
up your
No.
nose.
I don't
So
think
he's
he's-
sort of thinking, I'm going to get the best version of
It's a
Mike.
bit,
No.
it's a bit shambolic.
It's
That's
a bit.
what
I
it
think
is.
it's a bit shambolic because if you travel on the same train line every day and it's late every day, then you should just leave the house a little bit earlier.
I'm incapable of planning a journey properly, so I think I've got lots. So I'll leave at the 1:15. That'll get me plenty of time. By the time I get to the station, I'm thinking, "Oh Jesus Christ, I'm really late." I just can't seem to plan a journey.
There's
properly.
probably an app for it, but I'm not one to encourage lateness, but this VT has a different viewpoint.
Optimists tend to believe they have more time on their hands than they actually do, and a tendency to look at the bigger picture rather than getting caught up in every detail of everyday life is what entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and artistic visionaries are made of. So what if you miss an appointment here or there? You are actually a visionary. So to all you latecomers out there, rejoice. You just may change the world someday.
Or you might just be high.
That is clearly none of that applies to Kevin, by the way.
No.
None of it. Not one of
The
them.
fact, that
just
he's,
late.
not, the
Yeah.
fact that he's not stoned.
Well, that used to be the case, but I mean, not anymore.
Now, Kev has recently returned from a quick trip away to the Balearics or somewhere like that, and he's got to talk to us about airports.
It's just the whole system at airports. You think after all these years that they've come up with something better. So you have to put all your liquids in the plastic bag, right? And my wife, Henrietta, she said she's got them in 2 bags. I said, what the fuck have you got?
They've got so
there?
many, haven't they?
What the hell have you got there? Thousands and thousands of tubes. Anyway,
Hold on. Is this about your
no,
wife
no.
or
I'm just saying
airports?
that when we got there, the guy said, well, you have to actually put all your liquids into one plastic bag. You know, I had a sort of shaving foam and some aftershave. That was about it. Anyway, so. He starts putting all of her stuff. Yeah, of course, that as well. He starts putting all her stuff into one bag. It's getting more and more difficult. He just about finally does it after about 15 minutes. And I wanted to say, he was a very nice guy. I wanted to say, what a waste of fucking time. You know, the plane will be safe now. We've got all of our ointments into one bag. Anyway, so you take about 2 hours to get through there. Then you have to go through passport control. Then you have to sit in the departure lounge. Then you have to wait for them to call the flight. And then they have to say rows 1 to 7 and so on. It's just a nightmare. Coming back.
It's called flying.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is, so I don't know if you've ever been to Corfu Airport, but it's a particularly egregious example of the hellhole airport. My God, it really is. It's like a Hogarth gin cartoon. You know, people are writhing mass of humanity trying to get through these gates, people pouring out liquid. It was just really, really horrible.
A normally calm person like yourself could be angered by this, but let's have a look at an angry customer.
We are going to be on that flight. I warn you, we are going to be on that flight because we were told by your own people that we were okay. So you take responsibility and you get us on the flight.
Unfortunately,
there is no unfortunate. Why do you mistreat your passengers the way you do? Because you know that you're going to be an hour late.
We don't mistreat
Just as
our passengers,
you mistreat your passengers. You know, sorry, let me finish my sentence.
I like that guy.
You can't do that now at an airport.
He could be your new travelling
If you
companion.
do that at an airport, though, they'll come and arrest you. They'll drag you off.
I nearly got
beat you
arrested.
into a
I
pulp.
nearly got arrested in Stansted Airport.
Did you?
Well, you know,
That's better than flying out of it.
Stansted. Yeah, well,
That's the worst airport in the world.
It's the worst airport on earth is Stansted because with that whole sort of health and safety thing, if they're working on the security bit, they can't actually lift anything.
No.
So it all gets put on a trolley. The trolley gets locked in. They slide it across. They unlock it. They turn it 90 degrees, unlock it, slide it. And I'm late for a flight because I was taking the Kev approach to travel.
Yeah.
And I just went, excuse me, can I please have my bag? And this woman just looked at me and turned her back on me. At which point I may have said an expletive quite loudly.
Right.
At which point I have 2 armed policemen. I have to apologise to her.
Yeah.
She then gives me the bag and I get on the flight. But it's like...
so easy to get into trouble in that kind of environment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you're stressed out, especially if you're travelling with kids and all that sort of thing. And it's always been a nightmare. Because this is the thing, I mean, the whole travel experience now, which used to be presumably a beautiful experience, is only now a beautiful experience if you go on a private jet.
Yeah. Yes.
Because if you're going anywhere on a normal airline, you've got to get there hours before. Like you said, sometimes you have to spend the night because you're going so early. You know, you're dreading coming back. You're lucky if you get your bags at the other end because they might lose them.
I mean, my poor brother ended up with an injury to his finger due to a pushchair that ended up with endless surgery to it because, you know, that you're there having to pull this out, do that, and the pram fell over with the kid in it. He caught it and broke his finger.
My essential point is that, you know, mass aircraft travel has been going on now for 50 years, isn't it, if not more? And no one has come up. No one has sought to address the chaos that unfolds at airports all over the world every single bloody day. Like, surely someone could come up with a better system than we have to endure now. I'm with that guy who was furious. We've all felt like
Yeah, we have.
Airports.
Have you seen Michael O'Leary this week as well, the guy from Ryanair, who says that he wants to limit people's drinking at airports? I mean, it's the only way you can get through it is to have a few drinks, right?
There is one way he could limit people drinking on Ryanair. Charge more for it.
Yes. I mean, he's talking about, I think, the guys that drink before they get on.
They take a bottle of vodka on.
That's the other thing, like what you were saying, you know, you get to the airport, it's sort of 6 o'clock in the morning, bleary-eyed, and there's a load of people at a bar singing.
They're already in the Wetherspoons.
They've already been there for hours.
They've
Remember
been in the
during
Wetherspoons
COVID?
since 4.
Yeah, during COVID, there was that great story in Ireland where basically, I think EasyJet or somebody, or Ryanair, started a sort of a £10 ticket to London. So the only place they could get a drink during COVID was at the airport bar. Yeah. So they all bought tickets to go to London, and they all just went to the bar. And when they were calling the flight, they're going, "Hey guys, you'd have missed your flight. Yeah, you're fine." And they just stayed there all day and didn't bother ever going anywhere.
Did you see that story? Sorry, that literally, this is an absolute fact. That it was in the papers a couple of weeks ago that the busiest pub in all of Britain is the Gatwick Wetherspoons.
Yes.
Where they drink 24 hours a day. Yeah.
Crikey.
Well, we're back with groceries again because, I don't know, do you ever do online?
I do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now,
I've got real
what
problems
I cannot get my head round is, so particularly in busy periods, right, you'll sit in the, waiting to get your slot.
Yes.
And then you'll do your full order.
Yeah.
You think, I've got that nailed down. That's gonna arrive at my house. I haven't had to leave the house. And they do things like, we did not have any King Edward potatoes, so we've replaced it with a family pack of Walker Crisps.
Yes.
At least it was a potato product.
But it's like, we did not have any wafer-thin honey roast hams, so you have some marigold gloves instead.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, I've had all manner of different sort of scenarios here, including just this week. I ordered some stuff, not loads of stuff, but they didn't substitute the 2 things that they didn't have. They just didn't bring them. And it meant, and it's when they send you the receipt just before they arrive, and it happened to be some chicken and a couple of green peppers, which I was hoping to cook that night. And I was like, so I haven't got the chicken or the green peppers. So what am I going to do? I have to either go out and get them, which kind of defeats the object of ordering it, or I'm just going to have to cook something completely different, which I didn't want.
Who do you think comes up with these substitutes? One time we ordered, my wife tends to do this because I'm an old-fashioned...
She orders a lot of ointments.
I'm an old-fashioned sexist. She does, yeah. And she ordered... She gets the delivery. She gets the delivery, right? And she's ordered
job lot of Kev's ointment.
Yeah, it's not my ointments. It's
I'm not
her
going
ointment.
in and buying that. We'll order
an
it
ointment
online.
Factory, I'll tell you. So anyway, she ordered instead of a loaf of bread. Guess what they gave us? Chopsticks.
Brilliant. Do you know what I also love is the...
Who comes up with this?
Is what they call... They've got these giant, warehouses now where they do all the shopping for these, these van trips, right? And they call it a fulfilment centre, which sounds like one of those Thai euphemisms for a brothel, isn't it? Please enter the fulfilment centre.
Here, we will see
It'll be
to all your needs.
£25.
Not exactly how you wanted them, but we will see to them. But for me, I just can't do it anymore.
Have you given up?
I've given up.
I've had to move on from several supermarkets because I've fallen out.
I can't do it anymore.
Clearly, the people who do these replacements, they're just doing it for a laugh, aren't they? This will piss them off.
Yeah. We couldn't do any butter, so we've given you some all-butter pastry.
I once had a guy come from a different, and I've stopped using this particular company, because he brought my groceries up to the floor below and rang me and said, I've got your... I said, great. I said, I'll open the door. And he's like, yeah, no, I'm on the floor below. I said, sorry? What do you mean? He's like, I'm not coming up to the 3rd floor. I said,
why is that?
Why is that? He said, because in the small print it says that we don't have to go above 2 floors.
Oh, Jesus.
And I said, well, I'm not coming down. And he went, what? I said, I'm not coming down. And he said, well, what am I supposed to do? I said, you can take them back down again. So he took it all away. They had to refund me the money. And I've never used them again.
Now, on arrival at the studio today, I saw the great Jeremy Kyle outside. And he was bringing his child to work. He had his son with him.
It's an absolute no-no.
Why?
But it's not... It's slightly more nuanced than that, right? Because I'm not really talking about people who bring their kind of teenage children. I mean, I do that. I've done that. I've had my kids here. We're doing work experience, It's more the people that bring the baby to work. And it's a particular kind of man or woman that does that, right?
They've
got the little sling.
In the faux womb.
Yeah. But these people are always like, look at me. I've made a baby. I'm amazing. And aren't babies amazing? That's all they talk about. Babies are really amazing, aren't they? And then it sort of projectile vomits over the desk And you're kind of going, why have you brought that child, that infant, into the office?
It's interesting you say that. I've always dreamt of writing a parenting book.
Yes.
But I've only come up with the title.
Go on.
It's shit until they're 3.
Well,
3?
I mean...
33.
You could have an entire compendium. You could have... Well, that takes you up to 3, and then let's see what happens after that. Yeah, but, I mean, there is something about this sort of smug middle-class thing to do, isn't it?
Well, it's the baby Bjorn, isn't it? It's the papoose.
It's the papoose.
Man with papoose.
There are 2 things that annoy me. One, the papoose that a man would wear in the front, and also the one that they put on the back. It's like a backpack. And the kid's
that's a great big
and the
frame
kid's head
thing.
is kind of bobbing about like this, and you go, well, that can't be safe.
Yeah. Well,
but don't bring him to work.
Well, Dad goes trail running.
Why do these companies do they do this? Bring your kid to work day, bring your dog to work day. Just bring yourself to work and do your damn job.
Like
what do you
5 days
take
a
your
week.
Kid or your dog?
Yeah.
Maybe
and
come to
don't
work.
do it from home.
Yeah.
Maybe come to work 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, do your
like we
fucking
used to.
job.
Yeah, it is absolutely right. But yeah, no, I've seen it in almost every workplace I've been in. At some point or other, there's a baby.
Yeah.
And you just go, and everybody crowds around. You know, it's almost like some kind of curiosity, because particularly in our business, there's a lot of weird people, you know.
You can leave it at that. Leave it at that.
Who don't really understand normal life, because all they do is work in the media and they're kind of crazed, right? A particular kind of woman as well. I don't want to get particularly sexist about it, because they're strange men as well. Oh, look at that. Isn't that great? It's lovely. And that's kind of the baby they want, is the one that belongs to somebody else, so they can come and sort of stroke
I've got no interest in other people's
children. I have no interest in other people's children, period.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even like my own that much.
They get those...
I'm joking. I love them all.
When a woman takes a load of time off, they get about 6 years off, don't they, when they get pregnant these days. So they take the time off when they're in the last stages of pregnancy. Then they have the baby, and then they get a year off or something. And then after a while, they bring it into work.
Yes.
And they just show it to everyone. And everybody, oh, look, it's a baby. Isn't it great? Isn't it fantastic? You know, it's a baby. They all look exactly the same.
Yeah,
they all look like Roy Kinnear.
Well, moving on. All 3 of us sitting here have one of these with us.
Yes. It's an essential
It's an essential tool. Can I ask you, have you recently updated?
Do you know, I haven't actually that recently, no.
Well, I think you'll find it'll just
I'm going to check now.
Working.
I'm going to check now and see if I've got an
you have
update.
an update?
I think it's asked.
Oh, do you know, you're right. I have got an update.
Yeah, the update
I haven't done it.
scam. Now, listen, do you like how that phone works now at the moment? Does it do the job that it's supposed to?
Oh, yeah, I've got one as well.
It basically does, but I've noticed of late that it's been slightly misbehaving.
Well,
it's because you haven't updated.
You've got a choice.
Yeah.
You can update it and it might behave in that way.
Right.
But then it'll start misbehaving in another way.
Yes.
Because that, as far as I'm concerned, is what all the updates are about, is forcing you to buy the latest phone.
Yes.
It's like, please have our update. Minor bug fix.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I hadn't noticed any bugs.
Well, it's like when I bought the first iPad when it came out, which was a revelation. I mean, I look at it now, I've still got it, and it's about that thick, and it's really, really heavy.
And it revolutionised your private time as well.
It revolutionised my work, everything, right? It was brilliant. However, after about 2.5, maybe 3 years, I couldn't update it because all of the apps that came out were far beyond the first iPad. Yeah. So I had to get a new one.
Yep.
You know, had to trash it because I couldn't. I mean, even things like BBC iPlayer couldn't update it. Sorry.
I really admire people because I mean, I fall into it. You know, I'm due an upgrade.
Yes,
I'm due an upgrade.
It makes it sound good, doesn't it?
It sounds like you're going somewhere,
like
but
going
you're
to first class.
Yeah, and when you do it, your phone's out of action for about 2 hours. I've just found mine. It says system configuration update. Tap here to install the latest.
Don't do it.
What's
if
a
you
system
read, if you read between the lines, that means what I'm going to do is make your battery useless, and you're going to want a new phone.
Right, because it's going to drain
yeah.
quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like all the apps that you put on it. And I think one of the things that I found incredible is some of the memory that's taken up by certain apps, like WhatsApp, for example, where it stores everything, including all the pictures that you've already had on your picture section. So if you send a picture to
And I mean,
anybody,
given the recent news, you should be getting rid of those pictures.
Yes, well, I mean, I should probably be getting rid, like all good Tory MPs did during the last government, just get rid of all of your WhatsApp messages because they might incriminate you.
I'll tell you what I do with my WhatsApp messages now. I just send them straight to Isabel Oakeshott. she puts it in the Telegraph.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, hope you made some money out of that.
She did.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to go off and update our phones now and then probably buy a new one. But that is all for this week. Join us next week when we'll continue to be grumpy.